welcome to Contemporary Philippine Arts from the region. This video is for the students na hindi naka-attend ng graded recitation, and this will also serve as your reviewer for the quarter exam. So here, meron akong 3 sets of pictures. The first set of pictures, you will identify what form of an art is represent on the pictures and anong era of period kaya siya belong sa timeline history of Philippine art. The second set of pictures is you will identify what principle of design ang ginamit sa mga sumusunod na pictures. And the last set of pictures is all about the subject matter, if it is representational art, non-representational art, or an abstract art. So, let's start. On the first set of pictures, you will identify what form of art and anong era of period siya belongs. So, sa form of art, visual ba siya, literary art ba siya, performing art ba siya, and then dun sa era or period, kung pre-colonial, Islamic, Japanese, Spanish, American, contemporary art, modern art, so mamimili lang tayo doon. Okay? Let's start. On the first set of pictures, ano kaya yung form of art dito? So, kitang-kita naman natin na it is a form of visual art. Bakit siya naging visual art? Because it is appreciated by our sight or by our eyes. And nakikita natin yung nandito sa picture. And it is a form of propaganda poster. So, nakalagay dyan, March on to the independence, the time has come, complete independence, stop war, listen to Japan. So, nakikita na natin kung ano yung clue. Nakalagay din, no? Listen to Japan. So, anong era of period kaya belong ang picture na ito? Okay, so it is from the Japanese era wherein nagkaroon tayo ng nationalism kasi nung mga panahong yan, nagamit natin ang ating vernacular language in producing an art. And also, meron kasi silang propaganda that Asia belongs to Asia. Lalo na't na napapansin nila na talagang na-adapt na natin yung mga culture or tradition sa mga Western countries. Japan and the Philippines belong to Asia, and Asia part belongs to Eastern countries. That's why ganyan na lang talaga yung mga Hapones sa atin. So, during those time, talaga merong war and repression na nangyari sa ating bansa. But, meron ding advantage na kung saan it boosts or it rises our nationalism as a Filipino. Okay? Next picture. Okay, pagmasdan mabuti kung ano ba yung nakikita sa art. So, parang may naka-circle na nagsasayaw, ganyan. So, it is a form of performing arts. Bakit performing arts? So, from the word itself, pine-perform through body movements or through our voices. And nakikita naman natin dyan na talagang mayroong body movements na pinapakita dun sa picture. So, it is a form of performing art. And it can also be considered as visual art in the sense na nakikita natin sila. Okay? Next, ano kayang era o anong period belong yung picture na yan? Merong parang mga wines, tapos nagsasayaw sila sa may gitna ng mga pagkain. Ano kaya? So, it belongs to pre-colonial era wherein the art is for ritual purposes and for everyday use. Alam naman natin, nung mga panahon na yun is lahat ay sinasamba nila. And, for example, yung mga Cebuano, di ba, meron silang tamlan wherein they offer meat of pork or chicken na kung saan sinasabi nila na pag nagbigay ka daw noon, maganda daw yung harvest nila, mawawala yung mga bad spirits, ganyan. So, sa pinapakita dyan sa picture, binabalik-balikan natin yung mga ritual na ginagawa natin during pre-colonial era. Okay? Next, it can be considered also as contemporary art in the sense that some tribes or some ethnic groups still doing that ritual. So, meron pa rin mga ethnic or meron pa rin mga grupo ng mga tribo na hanggang sa ngayon is meron pa rin silang ritual at pinapasa sa mga next generation. Okay? Next picture. It is a form of what? So, it is a form of visual art since it is an example of painting, and painting belongs to visual art. So, it is called also as the Planting Rice by Fernando Marsolo, and we all know that Fernando Marsolo is the national artist in painting. Okay? Next, anong era o anong period kaya ito? So, since nasabi ko na sa inyo na it is produced by Fernando Amorzolo, and Amorzolo's style was during what era? American era. So, in American era, they are favored in idyllic sceneries, more on peaceful, more on calm, yung mga pinapakita nila sa mga visual art forms, more on realistic, ganyan. In American era, it is more on secular forms of art. Pag sinabi natin secular forms of art, it is not connected to religion kasi more on fine arts po, more on visual art po yung meron sa American era. So, bago di ba mag-American era, nag-Spanish muna. So, sa Spanish era, it is more on religion, more on faith and Catholicism. But during American era, it is more on secular form, more on fine arts, which is not related to religion. Okay? Next picture. Haiku for you. Okay, so nandyan na yung kitang-kita naman sa picture kung anong form of art siya. It is literary art because it is an expression of ideas through writing. Next is ano namang era o anong period naman belongs yung picture na yan. So, it belongs to Japanese era since haiku is a Japanese word. Okay? And during those times, since nga na-boost yung nationalism of the Filipino people, ang mga content ng haiku is all about love for country, love for nation, ganyan. Okay? Next picture. Anong form of art ang nire-represent sa picture? It is visual art. Bakit visual art? Because it is an example of architecture. So, may student na sinabi it is Spanish era. But, alam naman natin, sa mga Katoliko, may nakita na po ba tayo na ganyan ng simbahan ng mga Katoliko? So, wala. So, in answering what era or what period belongs yung mga picture, pwede kayo isa-isahin nyo siya. Pre-colonial. So, hindi siya pwede sa pre-colonial. Why? Kasi during pre-colonial, it is more on animistic, more on polytheism, kung sino-sino yung sinasamba nila. Wala pa sila talagang that time na church na katulad na ganyan. Next is Islamic art. Of course, mosque, mga ganyan yung mga style. So, papasok siya sa Islamic art. Hindi siya pwede sa Spanish era because in Spanish era, hindi naman ganyan yung symbol nila. Ang symbol nila is cross. In American era naman, sabi ko nga, it is not more on religion. Okay? So, it is from the Islamic art. Okay? Yan kasi yung kanilang mosque. At makikita nyo sa mosque na yan, may mga calligraphy, may mga geometric designs, and patterns. Okay? Next picture. So, it is a form of visual art because it is an example of painting. And nakikita nyo dyan, ibang-iba siya sa unang painting na pinakita ko sa inyo. So, balikan natin yung picture na pinakita ko sa inyo kanina. Okay, yan. At ito. So, ibang-iba siya doon sa unang picture na pinakita ko kasi mas realistic yung picture na pinakita ko nung una sa painting kaysa sa dito. So, what era of period kaya belongs sa picture na yan? So, it belongs to modern art. Bakit modern art? Kasi iba na yung style ng pagkaka-painting. Hindi na katulad nung kay Marsolo style. So, it is more abstract art. Iniiba nila yung color, sharpen yung style, brushen yung style. So, pag ganun, it is modern art or it is considered as modern art kasi bago na sa paningin ng mga audience or ng mga taong nakakakita. Okay? Next picture. So, it is a form of visual art because it is an example of installation art. So, meron kang nakikita dyan ng mga Christmas lights, Christmas tree. Actually, this picture is from the New Valley, kung saan kapag may Christmas, nag-install sila ng mga ganyan. Kaya ang tawag dyan is installation art. Now, what era or period kaya siya belongs? Pre-colonial? No. Kasi in pre-colonial, wala pang ganyan. How about Spanish? No. Then, kasi in Spanish, it's more religion. American, no. Kasi more on fine arts, more on visual art forms, which is more on paintings. Next is Japanese era, no. Modern art, it's more on painting pa rin, more on modern style in painting. So, it belongs to contemporary art because installation art is one of the example of contemporary art forms. Okay? Pag sinabi natin contemporary art, ito talaga yung napapanahon na art and talagang nag-exist in the present. Okay? Next picture. So, this picture belongs to visual art because makikita natin siya. It is a mununggul jar and it belongs to pre-colonial era wherein yung mga abonong patay is nilalagay po diyan. Dun sa cover, may makikita ko yun dyan na two fishermen. And that two fishermen represent or symbolize as afterlife. Okay, and in the present, meron pa rin ganyan. Pag kinekremate yung tao, linalagay nila sa mga pot or jar. Next picture. So, kitang-kita naman natin that it is a form of literary art. So, it is maikling kwento, lupang tinubuan ni Narciso Reyes. So, ano kayang era of period yung picture na yan? Okay, may mga students na sabi it is a pre-colonial era, ganyan. But it is not a pre-colonial era. So, binase nila yung sagot nila doon sa mga nakikita nila sa picture. But, sabi ko nga, in analyzing the picture, kinakailangan tingnan yung mabuti lahat-lahat ng nakikita nyo sa picture. Actually, yung mga pictures na to is makakatulong talaga sa inyo sa quarter exam kasi mostly pictures yung examples and choices at saka mga tanong doon sa quarter exam natin. Okay, maikling kwento, lupang tinubuan ni Narciso Reyes. Anong era? It is from the Japanese era. Bakit Japanese era? Since ayaw nga ng mga Hapones sa mga western countries, they stop the English literature. So, yung mga English writers ng mga panahon na yon, hindi sila pwedeng magsulat through English. So, hinayaan, mas favored ang mga Hapones na gamitin ng mga Pilipino ang ating vernacular language instead of English. So, next picture. So, kitang-kita naman natin kung anong form of art yung nakikita natin sa picture. It is a form of performing art. Next is anong era or anong period kaya siya natin nakuha or anong origin. So, first, it can be considered as pre-colonial in the sense that it is a form of ritual. Next, it is an Islamic art. Once na tinignan natin yung kanilang ginagamit, and ang ginagamit dyan is malong. And nakikita natin sa malong, it is more on geometric designs and more on pattern. Okay? Next picture. So, it is a form of visual art because it is appreciated by our eyes or by our sight. And it is an example of digital art. And digital art belongs to what era? It belongs to contemporary art. Okay? Pag sinabi kasi natin contemporary, more on advanced yung tools or yung ginagamit nila. Next picture, it belongs to performing art or it can be considered also as visual art. Visual art kasi nakikita natin, performing art kasi kitang-kita naman natin na may action sila. And it is an example of sinakulo, the passion of Jesus Christ. And then, anong era o belong siya sa Spanish era? Since yung Katoliko, yung mga ganyan ay namana natin sa mga Espanyol. So, it belongs to Spanish art or Spanish era. Next picture, it belongs to visual art. Why visual art? Because it is a form of architecture. So, during those times, no mga unang mga panahon, first, our ancestors dwelt in the cave. But then, as they move and hunt for food, they learn to do architecture. So, ang first na tinuturuan nila is the lean-to shelter. That is an example of lean-to shelter. It is flexible and adaptable in the sense that madali siyang ikabit at madali rin siyang tagalin. And yung mga resources na gagamitin para makabuo ng lean-to shelter ay nandyan lang din sa kanilang paligid. So, it is belong to pre-colonial era. Again, kahit yung picture dyan is medyo maganda at parang modern, the picture focus on the lean-to shelter. So, ang tinatanong natin sa mga picture na to is saan ang origin, saang era, or saang period natin naman na yung mga ganitong klase ng art. Okay, so picture, it belongs to visual art because it is a form of sculpture. And kita naman natin that it is an example of Santo Niño. And those Santo belongs to Spanish era. Okay, next pictures. What form of art is represented on the picture? So it is a visual art form and literary art. Bakit visual art? Because it is appreciated by our sight or by our eyes. Next, bakit literary art? As you can see, meron diyang mga calligraphy. Now, anong mga era or period ito belongs? So it belongs to Islamic art. Bakit Islamic art? Nandyan na yung hint or nandyan na yung clue, which is Allah. And alam naman natin na ang tawag sa Diyos ng mga Islam or ng mga Muslim ay Allah. In terms of art, Islamic art, makikita nyo dyan, it is more on geometric designs and pattern and more on calligraphy. Because in Islamic art, there's an absence of human representation or figurative representation in doing an art. Because they believe that hindi dapat ginagamit yung mga figures o yung mga human representation in worshiping their God. Okay? Next picture. So it is a form of visual art form because it is an example of a sculpture. So anong era naman siya belong? So it is belong to American era wherein yan po ay nasa harap ng UP Diliman. And nung panahon ng mga American era, they colonized the Filipino people through education and governance. So dito rin nag-start yung mga pagpapatayo ng mga school and kasama na dyan yung UP Diliman. Okay, next picture. What form of art? It belongs to performing art kasi nakikita naman natin na talagang gumagamit sila ng body movement and gumagamit din sila ng voice nila. So, it is the Huling El Bimbo, the musical by the Full Theater House. And ito ay pinalabas noong quarantine days. And ang mga type ng ganyang content, it belongs to contemporary era, which is napapanahon, and sa kasalukuyan, ganyan. Next picture. Next picture, it is a form of visual art because it is an example of painting. What era or what period naman siya belongs? So, some students says that it belongs to pre-colonial kasi nga may mga bathala dyan sa mga puno-puno. But, isipin nyo mabuti, during pre-colonial ba meron ng painting? During pre-colonial ba meron na silang kagamitan para mag-painting? Wala. Why? Kasi during pre-colonial era, nandun lang sila sa mga kuweba at dun sila susulat-sulat. Gumagamit sila ng mga bato-bato. And meron naman tattoo, which is the canvas is their body and the tattoo is an art. But during those time, wala pang tools to paint. That's why hindi mo pwedeng isagot dyan na pre-colonial kasi dun sa nakikita mo lang sa picture. So, In analyzing the picture, kinakailangan ma-identify nyo kung anong example siya, kung anong art siya. So, since it is an example of painting, alamin natin kung ang painting ba ay meron na sa pre-colonial. So, it is not an example of pre-colonial. So, it is an example of an art during modern era. So, sinabi ko nga, during modern era, naiiba siya sa realistic. Kasi pag sinabi natin realistic, it is from the American era. But since may makikita ka diyang mga kakaibang style, kakaiba yung pagkaka-paint, it is belong to modern era o modern art. Kasi modern style, yung technique na ginamit ng artist to paint. And Victoria Edadas yung nag-produce ng painting na yan. At si Victoria Edadas po ay kilala bilang modern artist. Okay, next picture. Music 7, Philippine vaudeville. So, it is a form of performing art in the sense na nakikita naman natin na nagpe-perform sila at gumagamit sila ng voice nila. Next, it is from the American era wherein vaudeville is na-introduce ng mga Amerikano. And pag sinabi natin vaudeville, it's more on fun and entertainment, more on jazz, more on dance, sing, mga comedian, ganyan. Next picture. So, it is belongs to visual art form. So, ang pinapakita dyan ay yung mga tattoo. So, during the pre-colonial era, the tattoos symbolize their accomplishment or their status in life. The more na marami kang tattoo, the more na ikikilalanin ka at titingalain ka ng mga tao. But this time, may mga tao talaga na hindi nila na-appreciate ang tattoo kasi para sa kanila, mukhang addict kapag may tattoo. But during pre-colonial, pag may tattoo ka, talaga namang kikilalanin ka. Okay? So, that is from the pre-colonial era kasi nakikita nyo naman na sila ay sa pangkat ng tribo, ng ethnic group. So, next picture, it is an example of integrative art. Pag sinabi natin it's an example of integrative art, all forms of an art is nandiyan. So, bakit nandiyan? Nandiyan na si literary art. So, literary art in the sense na yun yung kanilang tinitingnan or binabasa. Next is performing art since it is pina-perform. Kaya nga pabasa 2019. And it is a form of visual art in the sense na nakikita natin sila nagpa-perform at may nakikita tayo dyang mga santo-santo, ganyan-ganyan. Yung mga objects. So, it belong to Spanish era. Kasi may mga word na clue, pabasa. So, ba natin na mana yung mga pabasa, mga pasyon. Next is yung mga santo-santo. Saan ba natin yan nakuha? Of course, sa mga Spanyol or the Spaniards colonization. Okay, next set of pictures, you will identify what principle of design ang ginamit sa mga susunod na pictures. So, hindi ko na sinama yung elements of art since yung mga ipapakita ko sa inyo yung pictures, lahat ng elements of art halos nandito na. So, ang titingnan na lang natin is yung principles of design. So, in our test, in your quarter exam, kinakailangan yung most na pinakitang principle of design yung sasabihin nyo. So, yung mga pictures na to, pwede siyang 2 or 3 ang magiging principle of design. Pero, sabi ko nga, isa lang yung hinihingi naming answer. Yung pinaka, the best principle of design na ginamit ng artist in producing an artwork. Okay, so let's start. So, the first picture, ang pinaka-most na ginamit ng principle of design is emphasis and subordination. The next one is harmony. Next is the scale and proportion. Next is emphasis and subordination. Next one is the movement. Next, variety. Next, emphasis and subordination. And the last one is the rhythm. So, yung mga explanation niyan ay nasa PowerPoint na rin. So, kayo na yung mismong umaral, bakit kaya yun yung answer sa mga pictures na ito. Maliwanag po ba? Basta dun sa exam natin, kung ano yung mismong pinapakita na design, yun yung isasagot nyo. Okay? Next set of pictures, you will identify if it is representational art, non-representational art, and abstract art, and anong subject matter na-represent yung mga pictures. So, representing the subject matter, marami yan. May portraiture, may landscape, realistic, may still life, may genre, etc. etc. So, kailangan panoorin nyo yung video na pinost ko sa YouTube. Next naman is kung representational ba siya, non-representational, and abstract. So, pag sinabi natin representational art, meron siyang reference from the imaginative world or from the natural world. So, first is from the natural world. So, pag sinabi natin natural world, it is existing, it is an actual object or in reality. Pwede rin naman na sabihin na imaginative world, nasa mundo ng imahinasyon ng artist. So, pag sinabi natin representational art, it represents something. So, pag sinabi naman natin non-representational art or the non-objective art, there's no image ang makikita natin sa picture. It is more on process, more on elements of art. So, wala kang image talaga na makikita. Pag sinabi naman nating abstract art, medyo iba lang yung style kung paano siya ginawa, but still, meron kang image na makikita. So, minsan, nalilito sila sa non-representational art and abstract art. So, ang inyo na lang tandaan, kapag ang style niya ay kakaiba, but still may image, it is an abstract art. Pero pag wala talagang image na makikita, it is form of non-representational art. Okay, let's start. Okay, first picture, it is representational art because it represents actual object or from reality. And the ways of representing the subject matter belongs to portraiture. Pag sinabi kasi natin portraiture, it represents a person, the personality or the mood of the person. So, sometimes sa mga picture, may nakangiti, may sad, may galit, etc. etc. Okay? Next picture, it belongs to non-representational art. Bakit non-representational art? Because there's no image na nakikita natin dyan sa picture. It is more on process. Next, it is representational art because it represents the past event. So, since it is represents the past event, it belongs to the subject matter which is the historical. So, pag sinabi natin historical, it presents the past events. So, mga past events yan. Next one, it is the form of an abstract art. So, pag sinabi nga natin abstract art, there's still an image, but iba lang yung style or technique kung paano siya ginawa. Next picture, it is a form of representational art because it represents our nature. And nature belongs to the subject matter which is the landscape. So, yung mga subject ways or the ways of representing the subject matter, generalized na siya. Yung pinaka-subject naman dyan, may mountain, may trees, may seas, ganyan. But, dun sa exam natin, general na siya. Kung portraiture ba siya, landscape ba siya, historical ba siya, etc. Okay, next. So, it belongs to representational art because it represents the actual object from reality. The apple, the wine, etc. And the ways of representing the subject matter is called as still life. Pag sinabi natin still life, it is natural or man-made. So, natural dyan, yung mga fruits. And yung mga man-made, of course, yung mga wine glass, yung mga wine bottle. Next picture, it is an example of abstract art. As you can see, ibang-iba yung style art kung paano siya ginawa, but still an image of a horse. Next, it is a non-representational art. It is more on process, as you can see. Next, it is representational art from the imaginative world. So sometimes nakakalito yung representational art from imaginative world and abstract art. So hindi ko na siya nilagay. Hindi na ako naglagay sa exam ng from imaginative world kasi baka malito kayo sa abstract art, okay? Next, it belongs to non-representational art. So some students says that the artist here is bata pa and hindi pa marunong magsulat, hindi pa marunong mag-drawing. So sometimes ganyan din tayo eh. Kapag nasa school tayo, pag naboboard tayo, wala tayong magawa, kaya nasa bahay, ginuguri-gurihan nyo lang yung mga notebook nyo, yung likod ng notebook nyo, ganyan. So, para mas stress-free tayo, para mawala yung stress natin, ma-relieve. So, sometimes, yung art, kahit guri-guri siya, it can be still considered as an art. Kasi nga, tulad nga na sinabi ko sa inyo di ba? Everything can be considered as an art. Nasa sa atin na lang kung paano natin siya bibigyan ng meaning. And, pag sinabi natin non-representational art, hinahayaan yung mga audience na magbigay ng meaning dun sa mismong art na ginawa nila. Hindi sila katulad na sa non-representational art that is purpose talaga. Okay? Next one. It is a form of an abstract art. So, this is still an image na nakikita natin. Next, it is a representational art because it represents genre. Pag sinabi natin genre, yung subject matter, everyday life na ginagawa ng mga tao. Next, it is a form of abstract art because of the style, kung paano siya ginawa. Next, it is representational art because it represents Mona Lisa. And the subject matter, it is portraiture. So, pag sinabi natin portraiture, it's more on the picture of a person. Next is, it is a form of abstract art. Bakit abstract art? Because there's still an image na nakikita natin. May mukha siyang nakikita. And next, dun sa gamma ba, in national artist, is kailangan yung reviewin pero hindi nyo kailangan i-memorize. For example, sa national artist, kailangan nyo lang aralin dun is kung anong specialization niya. Kasi dun sa mga exam natin, more on pictures siya. Again, sa national artist, more on specialization ang inyong tingnan. Dun naman sa gamma ba, medyo madali siya in the sense na meron siyang keyword dun sa taas kasama ng mga pictures. So, yun lamang po. Thank you and goodbye. Bush. Panoorin nyo lahat ng mga nasa YouTube para meron kayong reviewer. Okay? Good na. Bye-bye. 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 Bye.
Good day everyone. Welcome to Contemporary Philippine Arts from the region. My name is Ronaldin T. Casanova. You can call me Ma'am Casanova. I've been teaching here at COSI for 3 years and this is my 4th year. I'm so excited to meet you and have